This audiobook tells the stories of several people who have been through hard times but have overcome them by having faith and believing in themselves. This will show you that you can too. I'm going to tell you the biggest problem that is stopping you from succeeding, why you shouldn't have to look for your dreams to come true. And finally, you are shown Winston Churchill's shortest big speech ever. When you promise to do something in this audio, put your right hand on your chest, or more specifically, on your heart. Of course, you shouldn't do it if you're driving, and I wouldn't do it if I were wearing headphones in the middle of a busy street, just to avoid them. Very well, but because putting our right hand over our heart is seen as a sign of truthfulness, honesty, and moral behavior. If you practice in front of a mirror with your right hand over your heart and say what you think of yourself, it will seem more real. It might surprise you how honest it is. You might be. It's time to begin. Get what you really want. When things change, there is both fear and chance. No matter how you feel about them, they will mean something to you. John Ernest C. Wilson. People often make a lot of promises to themselves at the end of the year that they will keep in the new year. But just a few days in, they forget all of those promises. Now is the time to act. Don't wait to do what you need to do right now to get better. As many people would say, don't put things off. Do it now. You made a promise to yourself there. Make a promise and keep your word. Things are going to get better. You will be successful if you do all the little things you do every day. Don't forget that the better you are, the more you can help other people. First, let's talk and think about what it means to be committed. Dedicated service. We know that to commit means to have a duty, a deal, or a contract that you have to follow through on and agree to. You need to make promises and vows to yourself in this audio and keep them. Make sure you are following them. A truly amazing outcome is guaranteed. Get into trouble with yourself and then want to pay it off. When we pay off a loan, we feel good about ourselves. He often said, "I am an optimist because it seems that not being one will get me anything." I think we can all agree that being optimistic and excited about the future is a better way to live than being pessimistic. We've come to understand that we are happy and do better when we are excited and hopeful about the future. But it turns out that a lot of people still haven't learned that having a positive attitude is a choice we all made. We picked how we felt about life in general. That's why I really like what Winston Churchill said. That's right, I decided to be an idealist, as you may have seen. Being pessimistic and losing hope are not good things to bring on a trip. My choice wasn't made for no reason. In fact, I have many reasons to live with joy and hope. I am sure that the real creative core of life and nature is happy, hopeful, and upbeat. It's not a lesson that you learn without any idea why you made the decision you did. From looking at the lives of many successful people, I'm sure you have many good reasons to believe you will win life. I promise that you will use that gift from God to choose happiness over sadness, hope over despair, and success over loss. A statement of freedom only says that people have the right to seek happiness. Each person has to do it on their own. A lot of people fail on their way to success. It looks like this doesn't make sense, but it does. How do you explain this? It's very easy. The people who are ready to be successful are those who are willing to do what they need to do over and over again, even though they know they might fail. It's not that these people like loss. They hate it, but they're not afraid of it either. It should be clear what I meant when I said that loss is a part of the way to success. These people are not failures at their jobs. Instead, they are the ones who try new things, raise issues, and bring about new ideas. They are people who can get back up after falling down. They know that if they get back up after the last fall, they won't have failed. So let's try to make the best of bad situations and get through life. There will be hard times for all of us. We can't change the way things are going, so we need to change how we think about bad things and people ahead of time. That's how to make the most of the chances that life gives us every day. As you promise to take advantage of every opportunity, put your right hand on your chest and say, "I will mentally prepare myself to take advantage of every opportunity by visualizing my key activities in advance. I will mentally rehearse before facing possible situations." Remember that every failure builds a rung on the ladder of victory. Many men never fail because they never dare. Maybe I'm wrong. If they fail, what we see depends a lot on what we are looking for. Some people have something to say, and others have something to say. Which group are you in? Let's use our brains before we speak. When you talk, you only say what you already know, but when you listen, you learn what someone else knows. After a quick look, it seems like most celebrities have it all: youth, money, health, fame, and so much charm that they need bodyguards to keep them safe. But despite everything, they are unhappy. The reason is simple. What makes someone happy is who they are, not what they have. Instead of spending our money on things for our kids, let's give them ourselves. We should give them our time and undivided attention. If we teach our kids old-fashioned virtues like honesty, integrity, faith, love, loyalty, and duty, they will be able to make their own happiness. Promise yourself that you will spend quality and quantity time today with everyone you love. Someone who is virtuous is wise, someone who is wise is good, and someone who is good is happy. You cannot stop time, but you can stop negative thoughts and use those unique abilities you have. It is never too late to dream, learn, or change. Some people use as an excuse that they are too old, too young, black or white, women or men, when in reality life has great rewards for them. You should concentrate on what you are really capable of doing, rather than dwell on what is impossible. Experience shows that success is due less to ability than to tenacious effort. The winner is the one who gives his body and soul to his work. Charles Buxton. If you can, this principle applies to the life of almost every human being. Failure and rejection are something that either shapes or destroys us. The truly determined person can make failure, rejection, the source of determination needed to reach higher than he could ever have imagined. The promise is that he will transmute disappointment into great achievements, looking for the good side, the positive side of everything that comes his way. A strong man is nothing more than a skinny man who practices gymnastics every day. Christopher Morley. Don't be afraid of big ideas and don't reject them. Think big. We all have to work hard as soon as a bright idea comes to us. That same God who gave us a great idea will give us the tools to turn that great dream into reality. Let's talk now about something that I have always considered important, that we have already mentioned in other audios, and I think I will never tire of saying it. An interesting question is to know if the opportunity lies in the person or in the job, perhaps in both. It is very likely that you, as well as I, know people who drive, scratch that, who are doing well, and many in the same activity who are barely surviving, or perhaps people who own a business who are doing well, while others are on the verge of bankruptcy. But instead of citing many examples, let's look at one that comes to mind. On many occasions, I have wondered how cab drivers endure a wait that can last from 5 minutes to 3 hours, doing nothing but smoking, listening to the radio, or wandering around in total boredom, especially in hotels and airports. During that waiting time, every cab driver could acquire a great training that would enable him to perform multiple trades, most of them better is. Every cab driver could become an expert, acquire knowledge of law, psychology, or whatever he wants. 15 minutes a day of reading allows the average reader to read 15 books a year. We must keep in mind that the cab driver was an example, since this could be applicable to many jobs, or perhaps to the time we use to move around, whether in our vehicle or public transportation. The point is simple. No matter what you do for a living, use your free time to get ahead. Put your right hand on your chest, make a commitment and say, "I promise that I will use all my time effectively and make a plan for my leisure hours." Remember, what you do today will be reflected in the future. I am going to tell you about something that is dangerous. A lot of people leave the radio or TV on and then say they don't pay attention to it. When we are focused on listening to or watching something, our conscious mind checks in with the subconscious mind and blocks out the silly claims, ideas and statements that often come to us over the air. But when we aren't paying attention, even in our dreams, the subconscious mind is open and can be hit with very harmful thoughts. One of the saddest beings walking around in the world is the prisoner of false hope. Surely you have encountered him somewhere. He is the person who dreams that someday a rich relative will die and leave him a great fortune. He dreams that someday, while walking down the street, he will see a box, kick it, and out of it will come thousands of bills that will bring him the longed-for security. Do you think that, or something similar? He is the kind of person who goes to the beach to see if he will reach his ship, when in fact he knows that the ship has never sailed. This is really distressing, for such people very often are skillful, truly skillful. The prisoner of false hope has not discovered that if he really wants to find a helping hand, he has only to look at the end of his arm, for that is where he will find it. So, if you use those hands that are at the end of your sleeves, when I speak of hands, I mean ideas, mind, or whatever else you can think of, you will find the solution to the problems that have been eluding you up to this point in your life. Hope, but hope in what you can do. Because believe me, you can, and you can do greater and greater things. Put your right hand on your chest, commit yourself and say, "I accept responsibility for my actions, and I will look for the helping hand at the end of my own arm. I will and can do well. Who will think of me if I don't? But what am I if I only think about myself?" Germany and Hitler. There are three types of people: those who act, those who watch, and those who don't care. The artists are the people who are eager to try something new and aren't afraid to fail. They are interested in new ideas and putting them into action, and they practice what they do. Even people who are just watching are interested in new ideas, but only if someone else takes the time to make them happen. After the risk has passed and they are sure that everything will work out, they want to go to events. The third group is made up of people who are not interested. People in this group don't want to try new things or have other people try them out. They wish to roll around in the world, but they don't know that the only way to roll is down. Do you make things happen, don't know what happened, or make things happen? With all the content on this channel, I want you to start exploring and taking action right away. When we choose to act, we become players. Make it a habit to do the right thing. He who keeps busy is tempted only by a demon. He who is idle, doing nothing, by a whole legion, Thomas Fuller said. In life, I will and I can. Most of us work hard to get where we want to be and hope that our lives will be full of success. In order to reach this goal, we need to remember that bad habits will take over if we don't carefully form good ones. Everyone who has been able to become what they wanted to be has been successful. A lot of them have made it a habit to do things they don't want to or aren't good at. Bad habits are often the cause of many of the traits we develop, which is an interesting fact. Shame, failure, anxiety, fear, depression, denial, complaints, and regret are all bad habits that people do over and over again. Being gloomy is a bad habit in and of itself. 2 easy goals can help you get rid of these bad habits. It was simple, not easy. The promises are, I will and I can. You will do better in life if you keep your goals. Become aware of good habits and tell yourself, I will, I can. Remember that it's easier to break good habits than bad ones. The people we hang out with can make or break our lives. Whether it's good or bad, healthy or not, we all become part of the world around us. Take some time to think about whether your friends are influencing you or whether they are influencing you. If so, how and whether it is a good or bad effect. And if this bad impact goes away, does this mean that winners will emerge? More than half of who we are comes from copying others, and how we interact with our surroundings is very important. Pick good people to follow and learn a lot about them. These easy and short words explain who will get what they want and how they will do it. Winston Churchill was asked to speak to the grads of Oxford University after the end of his second term as Prime Minister of England. Sir Winston led the event while dressed to the nines and sitting at the head of the table. They talked for a long time before Churchill got up to the platform. He looked at the people in the room while holding the podium with both hands for a few seconds. He said in a deep voice, "Never, never, never give up." He took another, longer pause and said it again, this time with more force and passion. He looked at the people in the room for a moment and then sat down again. Without a question, this was the smallest big speech ever given, and it was also one of the most remembered ones Churchill ever gave. I'm sure that people who really follow this advice from Mr. Winston Churchill will finish everything they set out to do, and even more. As you promise yourself, put your right hand on your chest and say, "I will never, ever, ever give up." Try not to give up. Most of the time, the last key on the ring is what opens the door. Get what you really want. Do you sometimes ask for things you don't really need? I don't believe you are. Allow me to explain. When you say something thoughtful to a friend, have you ever seen them sniffle? The person replies, "It just started this morning, but my colds get really bad on the third day." That person is asking for something they don't really want. For example, someone comes to work with the starts of a headache. If someone tells them that they feel it, they say, "Now I hardly notice it. Usually it's the same in the mornings. But around 3 o'clock in the afternoon I feel like shooting myself." Why? We can all reach extreme despair and yet rise to the top and succeed. Frida Kahlo suffered from polio in her childhood and, according to some sources, also had spina bifida, which caused her to have dysmetria in her right leg. In addition, her spinal problems were aggravated by an accident suffered during her adolescence, which left her with physical sequelae forever. Frida spent most of her life in bed, suffering from severe pain. Even so, she became one of the most famous artists of all time and an icon of the 20th century. Nick James Woods and Nick Vujicic, another example of overcoming. Father and son and husband, who is recognized worldwide, is the director of Life Without Limits, an organization for people with physical disabilities. Vujicic was born in 1982 without arms or legs. He says he was teased and discriminated against as a child and attempted suicide, but eventually learned to see his own potential. Nick is a motivational speaker and preacher. He currently gives motivational talks all over the world. He has written several books and is a frequent guest on television programs. And like those named above, we could well talk about Stephen Hawking, Jonas Alessanadi, and we could go on and on and on, naming these people. An idea, a dream, a beautiful and practical philosophy will not work if you do not work on it. Realize that others can temporarily hold you back, but that you are the only one who can hold yourself back permanently. Why do you want the privilege of living your past again? You begin a new life with every sunrise. Robert Kincaid, what is a defeat is nothing other than a teaching. It is nothing but the first step towards something better. Wendell Phillips, you can do it too. There is the story of a man named Clark in Gas. It would be hard to believe that Clarence once awoke drowning and convinced he was about to expire. However, this citizen, who was 41 years old at the time, managed to breathe again. His health problem at the time was no mystery, as he drank 24 beers and smoked 3 packs of cigarettes daily. He stopped using the scales when he was weighing 120 kilos and had a waist of 109 centimeters. That same morning, after such a terrifying experience, Clarence got down on his knees and asked for help. He stopped drinking and smoking. He started walking, then jogging. Every night within a year, he was running 7 to 8 kilometers a day. He lost weight until he weighed 68 kilos. His blood pressure dropped from 150 over 100 to 120 over 72. Clark at Gass went on to compete in more than 10 marathons. According to Gass, it takes more courage than you might think for a chubby guy to go out and run in front of other people. It's a slow process and it takes patience, but it is possible. You can do it. Don't give up. Think about this. There's a good chance that your fitness is not as bad, nor are your personal habits as destructive as Clark's were in Gass. However, there is a good chance that Gass's physical condition and habits are better than yours today. I ask you, if Clark in Gass was able to devote himself to exercise and take care of his health, what's stopping you from doing the same? Believe in yourself. Have faith. I'm going to tell you what the most devastating obstacle is that keeps you from succeeding. At the age of 8, Glenn Cooningham suffered a serious accident when the school he was attending, along with his 10-year-old brother Floyd, caught fire. Floyd did not survive the fire. Glenn's legs were badly burned and doctors recommended amputation. His distress was such that his parents would not allow it. The doctors predicted that he would never be able to walk again. He had lost all the flesh on his knees and shins and all the toes on his left foot. However, his great determination, along with daily massages from his parents, allowed him to gradually regain the ability to walk and then run. Everyone knew that Glenn Cooningham would never walk again, except for Glenn and his mother. No one thought he could win a race except Glenn and his mother. He had horribly burned his legs, yet he walked again, ran again, and managed to become the fastest man in the world in the mile run. Glenn Cooningham believed in himself. Sylvester Stallone was told by more than 50 producers that he had little ability as a writer. They told him he was wasting his time trying to write a script. But despite almost every producer in Hollywood trying to convince him that he was hopeless, Sylvester continued to believe in his abilities. The script that those producers rejected was the Rocky script, and 8 Rocky movies have been created. And this series of films has grossed over $1 billion worldwide. Sylvester Stallone had faith in his talent. Many people and many obstacles may stand in the way of our goals, but they can all be overcome. The most devastating obstacle is our own inability to believe. We can all do what we want to do if we believe and are willing to work. Shakespeare said, "Our doubts are traitors that often make us lose the good we might have had." And Conrad Hilton asserted, "Man, with God's help and his own dedication, is capable of anything." Put your right hand on your chest, commit yourself and say, "I will not allow myself to be influenced by those negative people who might impose my limitations. I have faith in myself and know I can do it." Do not fear life. Believe that life is worth living. What you believe will help you make your reality. Dare to go after your dreams and see them come true. As far as I can tell, everyone knows that everything comes with a risk. We run the risk of being turned down for jobs when we apply. There is a chance that no one will see or hear us when we start a YouTube page. We could fall off our bikes when we ride them. We run the risk of getting hurt when we do physical activities. There is a chance that we will have to drop out of college when we start. When we smile at someone, there's a chance they won't smile back. There is a chance that we won't be heard when we talk. It's possible to lose hope when we are hopeful. There is a chance that we will look stupid when we dream. One thing that almost all great people have in common is that they are willing to fail. There is a chance of failing in a trial, but what other option is there? Not to do anything. Do not have anything and not have anything. But if you don't do anything, you might avoid failing, but you also miss out on victory. There are risks in everything important. You don't do anything if you don't do the practice. Dare to go after your dreams and see them come true. We often have to pick between being safe and having a little fun. It's good to be safe sometimes, but obstacles can also be fun. I recently saw a ship with sails that were slack and dead hanging from the masts. The ship was grounded in the calm water of the bay and wasn't moving. It was safe, but it wasn't going anywhere. In some ways, people are like that. It's safe to stay in the bay, where there are no challenges or dangers. But we can also raise our sails, face the sea, leave behind some peace and safety, and take on the world. Some people are willing to risk their safety and take on challenges in order to move from place to place. People were made to go on adventures and learn new skills. We weren't created to stay in one place and be safe. It is important to remember that people and nature are very different in some ways. It takes away from natural resources when we use them, and it takes away from our own resources when we don't use them at all. It was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said, "The great tragedy of man is that most people carry his silent music within them to the grave." I encourage you to spread your sails, let the wind blow you, use your skills, and let the music come from inside you. Tomorrow, we'll always do better. We will all, and we will for sure, if we start today. I will use my own resources, who I am, and step out of my comfort zone. I will keep in mind that if I respond with courage in the face of adversity, my opportunities will multiply. The superior man always thinks of painting, while the vulgar man always thinks of comfort. Confusion. Don't give up on your goal to get through it. Milton wrote even though he was blind. Beethoven made music even though he was dumb. And Renoir painted even though his hands hurt from rheumatism. Helen Keller was a writer, speaker, and political fighter who was deaf and blind. When she was 19 months old, she got a major illness that took away both her sight and hearing. Helen and her family went through a lot of stress when she couldn't talk from a very young age, and she was almost out of control for a while. Even though they were dumb, old, blind, deaf, crippled, poor, young, oppressed, or unable to learn, men have overcome, succeeded, achieved, and won. You can also do it. Even if things get hard, you can still reach your goals. There are times when character shines through, but most of the time it changes in small ways. A man was hiking in the woods, and Get Post magazine told his story. They got lost quickly because it was snowing while they were out. He knew he had to find cover quickly or die of cold because he wasn't dressed for the weather. He tried hard, but time went by and his feet and hands became numb. He was aware that his life was in danger. Then he came across a man who was so cold he was almost dead. The walker had to choose. He could either leave to try to save his own life or stay to help save the other man. He made up his mind right away and took off his gloves. He got on his knees in front of the man and massaged his feet and hands. The man got better with the help, and they were able to keep going until they could get help. In the end, our hero learned that by helping someone else, he had also helped himself. As he rubbed the stranger he had met, the numbness that had spread to his limbs went away. I'm more and more sure that helping other people reach their goals is the best way to get ahead in life. I'll help you out and do this nice thing for you. We'll both be better off. There are times when a window opens when a door shuts. But find that window. Look for the chances that always come up when things go wrong. You will never get anything done if you never take any risks. Anyone can make life what they want it to be. You can't change the cards life gave you, but you can choose how to play them. Don't forget that you can make your life what you want it to be. It's better to think about what you can do than what you can't. Success and loss are never the end of the story. Success and loss are never the end of the story.